Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1 for the News First, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Queen Elizabeth II, longest reigning monarch of the UK, dies. Governor of the Central Bank ready to present IMF conditions to Parliament. Supreme Lanka coalition opposes more appointments. Tena power cut imminent, warns engineers. China donates rice for students. Food insecurity increases as 4,000 kilos of paddy goes to waste.
Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, the UK's longest-serving monarch, died at Balmoral, aged 96, after reigning for 70 years.
Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II died peacefully last evening in her Scottish estate where she had spent much of the summer. Her son King Charles III said the death of his beloved mother was a moment of great sadness for him and his family, and that her loss would be deeply felt around the world. He said, quote-unquote, "We mourn profoundly the passing of a cherished sovereign and a much-loved mother. I know her loss will be deeply felt throughout the country, the realms and the Commonwealth, and by countless people around the world." Buckingham Palace said the King and his wife, Camilla, now Queen Consort, will return to London today, where he is expected to address the nation. Prime Minister Liz Truss, who was also appointed by the Queen on Tuesday, said the monarch was the rock on which modern Britain was built, who had provided the country with the stability and strength that was needed. Queen Elizabeth II will lie in state in Edinburgh and Westminster as part of 10 days of national mourning from today. The funeral is expected to take place around the 19th of September. Mourners have assembled outside Buckingham Palace to pay tribute to Queen Elizabeth II. US President Joe Biden yesterday mourned the death of Queen Elizabeth, a figure who he said was much more than a monarch. Meanwhile, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, as well as Asian leaders have expressed their condolence to King Charles III and the royal family. In Paris, the lights of the Eiffel Tower were turned off at midnight to mark Queen Elizabeth II's death. Brazil's president has declared an official 3-day mourning period after Queen Elizabeth II's death. Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed his deepest condolences to King Charles III.
We now cross. Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe has instructed that all public buildings must lower the national flag to half-mast in memory of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, who died on Thursday. The President had given the instructions to the Ministry of Public Administration and Home Affairs. The President's media division said a period of mourning will be announced in due course. We now cross over to News First special correspondent Leonard Ratnaker from London with more details.
Brought to Buckingham Palace today or tomorrow, and will be lying at the Westminster Hall next week for the public respect. There'll be a lot of leaders from all around the world expected to fly in to give her the last respect in the next couple of days, and her funeral is planned to have on 18th of September, a Sunday, which will be announced officially by the by the Buckingham Palace today or tomorrow, hopefully today. I'm Leonard Ratnaker for News First from England.
Queen Elizabeth II, in full, Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, was born on the 21st of April 1926 in Mayfair, London. She was the first child of King George VI and his Duchess, the former Lady Elizabeth. In 1947, she married Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, Later, in 1948, their first child, Charles, was born, followed by a sister, Anne, in 1950. In 1952, Elizabeth's father, King George VI, died, and she ascended to the throne as Queen Elizabeth II. Her coronation in June 1953 was televised despite the opposition of Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and millions gathered around TV sets, many of them for the first time, to watch as Queen Elizabeth II made her oath. With Britain still enduring post-war austerity, commentators saw the coronation as the dawn of a new Elizabethan age. World War II had served to hasten the end of the British Empire, and by the time the new Queen set off a lengthy tour of the Commonwealth in November 1953, many former British possessions, including India, had gained independence. Her reign spanned 15 prime ministers, starting with Winston Churchill to Liz Truss, and 14 US presidents. She witnessed enormous historical and social changes in the world. She was head of state of the UK and 14 other countries, including Australia, Canada and Jamaica. In 2015, she surpassed Victoria to become the longest reigning monarch in British history. In June this year, she celebrated her Platinum Jubilee after 70 years of service.
The Sri Lankan Parliament also observed silence in memory of Her Majesty.
The Sri Lankan Parliament observed 2 minutes of silence in memory of Her Majesty, the late Queen Elizabeth II.
Sri Lanka පාර්ලිමේන්තුව වෙනුවෙන් එලිසබෙත් දෙවැනි රජනගේ වියෝවය පිළිබඳ ශෝකය අප වෙත ලැබී තිබෙන අවස්ථාවේදී බ්‍රිතාන්‍යයේ මහරජිනිය හැටියටත් පොදු රාජ මණ්ඩලයේ නායිකාව හැටියටත් ශ්‍රී ලංකා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ශෝකය මේ අවස්ථාවේදී ප්‍රකාශ කිරීම සඳහා විනාඩි 2ක නිශ්ශබ්දතාවයකට අපිට පිවිසෙන්න අවසර පතනවා.
එතුමිය මුළු ලෝකයේම හදවත දිනාගත් නායිකාවක් හැටියට අපි කවුරුත් එතුමිය ආදර්ශයක් හැටියට පිළිගැනීමක් තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ අවස්ථාවේදී විපක්ෂීය සංවේගය එතුමියගේ අභාවය ගැන අපි මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ප්‍රකාශ කර සිටිනවා.
The Governor of the Central Bank has informed the Speaker of Parliament that he is not opposed to presenting the conditions put forward by the International Monetary Fund to Parliament.
We all know the situation in the country. The agreement that the government has reached with the IMF should be given to us. If not, how can we discuss it? You cannot do this without the support of Parliament and the support of the people of this country. You know that. I discussed this issue with the Governor of the Central Bank this morning. He said that he has no objection against presenting those conditions in Parliament. He said that he is ready to hand over the report at any time. But the final decision on that matter lies with the Minister of Finance. The reason for that is because there are some tax-related proposals in the conditions that cannot be disclosed in advance. Therefore, he informed me to discuss with the Minister of Finance and take a decision on the matter. No one can say that there are matters that cannot be revealed to Parliament. If we say that we are doing these things in secret, the people will be against it. Did you know that the foreign reserves of our country had dropped to $20 million? You didn't know. None of us knew. Besides the matters that cannot be revealed in Parliament, the rest of the conditions must be presented to Parliament. This is an unwanted issue. The opposition does not want to use this to attack the government. There is no room to do that either. Therefore, I request you to intervene and take steps to allow for this to be done transparently. If not, we will not be able to stop the people accusing parliamentarians of taking sides and playing games inside Parliament. I will bring this to the notice of the Finance Minister. There is no agreement. It is simply an understanding. The final agreement can be made only after it receives the approval of the Executive Board of the IMF. Give us the agreement. We were discussing about how 37 new state ministers were appointed when the country is facing a crisis. None of the state ministers have been given special privileges. But you know that there are other means to get those privileges. All I have to say is that this looks bad to the country.
for the IMF loan. They made this request at a media briefing held at the Jayasekara Rama Viharaya in Rajagiriya.
අර්බුදයේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන් අමතක කරලා තියෙනවා. නැවතත් පරණ වැඩපිළිවෙලම
They have forgotten the crisis and they have gone back to their old corrupt system. Now the government led by President Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to pawn the country to the IMF and protect the rogues. The entire country rallied around the Aragalaya. They wanted the rogues to be named and for the stolen national assets to be vested with the treasury. If the stolen assets can be recovered, the budget deficit that President Ranil Wickremesinghe is talking about can be easily bridged. The budget deficit is $3,838 million. 100 times of this wealth can be made available if the stolen assets by politicians can be recovered.
දේශපාලක හොරුන් විසින් හොරකම් කළ ධනය නැවත රාජ්‍ය භාණ්ඩාගාරයට ලබා ගත්තොත්.
Meanwhile, Supreme Lanka Coalition, newest political alliance, stated the people of this country expected answers and no more issues after a new administration was formed.
උත්තර ලංකා සභාවේ හැටියට අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා මේ විදිහේ
As the Supreme Lanka Coalition, we believe that this is not the type of journey that the country or the people are expecting. The people are looking for some exemplary behavior. They expect a discipline that was not there before. The society is demanding for a better politician that the people can accept. This is not what they are getting. Instead, greedy politicians are being given ministerial positions, and they are continuing the type of politics that caused the collapse of this country in the first place.
දේනි දීලා මල පෙරේතයෝ පිනවන මෙතෙක් මේ රට මේ අගාධයට ඇදවට්ටපු දේශපාලනයම තමයි තවදුරටත් රඟ දැක්වෙමින් තියෙන්නේ.
State Minister Sanath Nishanta, after assuming duties as the State Minister of Water Supply, said State Minister positions were provided to low-income earners among the parliamentarians.
මෙතන අපි අමාත්‍ය ධූරයෙන් ඉල්ලා අස්සෙන්නේ එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි
We resigned from our ministries on the 9th of May.
ඒ නිසා මේක දෛවෝපගත සිදුවීමක් කියලා මම විශ්වාස කරන්නේ.
අලුතෙන් පත්වන රාජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යවරු අමාත්‍යංශවල අමාත්‍යවරට අදාළ වර්ෂපත ගන්න කිව්ව තමන්ගේ රාජකාරිය කරන කියලා මොකක්ද මේ කාරණේ?
මම ව්‍යාපාරිකයෙක් හැටියට මගේ
As a businessman, I have ways in which I can earn my income. As a principal, I can work without any salary. However, many ministers are low-income earners and are going through hardship. If I don't accept my salaries, it will be disrespectful for those ministers. Since the people are also exerting pressure on them to work like Sanath Nishanta without taking the salaries. As a result, I will accept my salary and use it for public service. I will not use it for my benefit.
රුපියලක්ම නැවතතාවක් මම ජනතා සේවයට වියදම් කරනවා මිසක් මගේ පෞද්ගලික පරිහරණය මම පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ නැහැ.
Also, State Minister for Fisheries P.L. Nishanta assumed duties in Colombo today. Is it still the same old faces that have been elected into office? Who was rejected by the people? Is this something cooked up by those in the Aragalaya? Or is it something said by the people? The people elected them and the people can remove them at the next election. The Ceylon Electricity Board Engineers Union says there's a possibility of 10-hour power outages in the future.
ඒ කියන්නේ ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ මැද වෙනකොට ගල්ලංගුරු ගේන්න බැරි වුණොත්
By mid-October, if we don't get the required stocks of coal, the amount of electricity generated, as I'm indicating in this diagram, will be lost. If so, we will have to bridge the loss from hydropower and thermal power plants. We are receiving rainfall at the moment. If we don't receive rainfall, we will have to go for power outages. In an event of a coal shortage, there could be 10-hour power cuts in the future. I'm requesting all the stakeholders, including the subject minister, please make adequate coal stocks available by mid-October. In addition to this, there's an issue with the coal power plant. One generator is not operating due to maintenance. We are expecting this can be added to the grid by mid-November. We are requesting the required $40 million to fulfill this shortage.
පද්ධතියට එකතු වෙයි කියලා හැකි ඉක්මනින් බඩු නිදහස් කරගන්න අපිට ඒ අවශ්‍ය ඩොලර් ලක්ෂ 400 ඉක්මනින් ලබා දෙන්න කියලා.
The Chinese government has donated 5,000 metric tons of rice to Sri Lanka in order to feed nearly 1 million students. The stock of rice was officially accepted at the Ministry of Education by Minister Susil Premajayantha from the Chinese ambassador Ki Zhenhong. The stock of rice was given to the people of Sri Lanka as a donation from China. Nearly 1 million students will be given rice aid under this food program. This program, implemented in 7,925 selected schools, covers 78% of the total number of schools in Sri Lanka. Today is day 9 of the program launched by Sirasa TV and the Education Minister to create one of the longest paintings in Sri Lanka. The painting will be designed by school students, and today's leg took place in the Anuradhapura district. United We Stand is the theme for the longest painting by Sri Lankan school children that is being created for World Children's Day 2022, which falls on the 1st of October. This work of art is expected to be 1,000 feet long, and the launch of the painting took place at the Independence Square in Colombo recently. And today artwork was contributed by students from the Anuradhapura Central College, Anuradhapura Nivantaka Chaitya National School, and students from schools in the Anuradhapura town. Day 10 of the program will be on Saturday in the Puttlam district. Shifting your attention to sports news, Yupu Nabuikon of Sri Lanka finished 5th in the men's 100 meters final at the 2022 Diamond League in Switzerland. The final leg of the Diamond League 2022 was held in Switzerland for 2 days. Alongside Yupu Nabuikon, Jamaican Olympic champion Johan Blake, who registered the best timing in the year 2022, and many other leading athletes in the world took part in the men's 100 meters event. Yupu Nabuikon finished 5th with a timing of 10.14 seconds, while Trevor Bommel won by clocking 9.94 seconds, as Johan Blake claimed 2nd place with a timing of 10.05 seconds.
Scott as ever just gets left a little bit, but look at Bramell, he's going away from everybody here. Blake trying to go with him, but it's going to be Bramell. Finishing quickly on the near side was Aaron Brown, might have got 2nd, perhaps 3rd.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Lunchtime News on TV1. For details of the stories and much more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First, where the people come first, I'm Martin Satyanes, and you take care and stay safe.